Right. Um, can you see my screen?
Yeah, the screen is
All right,
there.
great. So, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to week two's challenge session, and then later on we'll have an introduction about the challenge on 10x. Okay, let's start. So here at 10 Academy, we have some of our favorite quotes, and one of those quotes is from George Bernard Shaw. It goes as the single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that that it has taken place. George Bernard Shaw is an Irish playwright. He's a critic and a polemicist. A polemicist is someone who likes to argue or who writes in a strong, controversial way. It might be to attack or defend a particular idea or his opinion, or it might be a belief. In simple terms, he's a person who loves to debate and argue passionately. So he's a polemicist. He's often credited with this quote, and he's known for he's a prominent figure in literature. He's known for his works like Pygmalion, which is a play. Uh, if some of you might know, there's a famous musical called My Fair Lady, and this musical was drafted from his play, which is called Pygmalion. And for he's also known for his sharp wit, social commentary, and he's also won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1925. So he basically wrote this quote. This quote means the biggest issue in communication is when people think they understood each other, but they actually haven't. This is a mistake assuming a message was clear and received correctly without checking. For example, you might explain something to a friend and they might nod, but later you realize they didn't get what you meant. The illusion is believing communication happened when it didn't. This leads to confusion and mistakes. All right, so let's play a game. So I'll ask you a would you rather question, and then you can answer in the comments, and then we can move on. For our first question today, would you rather be able to read people's minds perfectly, or have the power to effortlessly persuade anyone with your communication skills? Basically, would you rather read people's minds or have the skill to communicate better? Right. Let's go to the comment sections and see if anyone has shared. Yeah, reading people's minds sounds really cool, but imagine if if you have the skill set of the best communicator in any setting or in any environment. Imagine if you have that. I mean, for example, um, in a setting where famous people or very influential people are in your area, um, you might want the communication skills to persuade them and to actually be able to speak out and communicate with them, right? So personally, I'd rather have uh, the skills to persuade anyone with my communication skills. Oh, my mind is it's pretty simple to read. Actually, I'm an open book, and if you're talking to me and if I feel something, you can actually read it on my mind. So you don't have to actually read my mind. You can see it on my face. Why would I bother to do both? Why would I bother to do both? Well, Barakat, in this day and age, the more you can communicate, the better. Um, let me tell you a story. Back, um, we used to talk to these. Um, what do you call them? Uh, they're not hiring managers, but they are people who hire, and they were looking for someone around East Africa to hire, and we they had candidates from Ethiopia and Kenya, for example, and uh, they usually chose the Kenyan ones. That's because they believe Ethiopians we have a very good skills, technical skills, especially we're very good at that. But the Kenyans they usually since they speak English um, at a very early stage of their lives, they're really good at communication. So people who hire, especially global people, they would rather hire a communicator with no technical skills than a technical skilled, technically skilled person who is always to his or her own, who don't speak to the team members or something like that. So basically, communication. This is one example of why communication is very important. Right? Because I'd rather read people's minds. Reading people's minds sounds like a good thing, but you don't know what's inside people's minds. So maybe communicating with them might be better, in my opinion. All right. So that's a good exercise. On the next slide, we have another would you rather question. Would you rather send an important email with a couple of minor typos, or send a perfectly crafted email to the wrong person? It's a really good point. Let me see if anyone has answered in the comment section. It doesn't matter how your email looks like if you sent it to the wrong person. Uh, it doesn't matter. For example, uh, the email you want to write, for example, you're trying to persuade a company about a pitch that you have. If you don't have the right person to talk to, then even if your idea or your communication is really good, if you don't reach out to the right people, then it's like sending an email to the wrong person. Right? So that's basically the idea of this would you rather question. Right. Next is would you rather be known for your clear and concise writing, or your engaging and persuasive speaking skills? In my opinion, both are very 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 important. Writing is just as important as speaking. But if let's for example, in Amharic, since in our own Ethiopian language, I'd rather be talking to someone in Amharic than writing to someone in Amharic, right? Because I know Amharic is my first language, and it would be a lot easier to speak to that someone rather than writing it to that someone, right? So in that sense, uh, people actually respond better when you're speaking to them, right? So speaking communication, it's not just about speaking to someone. It can also be it's basically it can also be writing, or in any form of communication is actually communication. But in my case, I'd rather speak than write something to someone. All right. Um Next slide is the basis of communication. What's communication? Communication is the act of transferring information from one place to another through verbal and nonverbal or written means. Everything we say has at least three messages: what we said, what we meant, and what the other person understood. We might say something, the other person can. First, we might say something, and then the thing we've said and the actual meaning of what we said might be different. And then the third thing is the other person could misunderstand uh, what you're saying, right? So we have three messages included in everything we said. What do we mean by to communicate? It might be to inform, to request, to persuade, to ensure understanding. So communication is all of this. It's not just language. It's everything. Communication is everything, actually. Communication in the workplace. Communication is the lifeblood of an organization. Like I said earlier, hiring managers would rather have a communicator than a technical person because they can communicate and they can catch up with the technical things. But if you can't communicate with your team members, with your team members, then it's all it's not important, right? The important thing is communication. And in every workplace, everything depends on effective communication. Poor communication can negatively impact your productivity, collaboration efforts, employee motivation, and employee engagement. If you don't communicate with your coworkers, um, basically the work actually suffers because of your lack of communication. If you have poor communication, if you don't connect with your team members, if you don't answer your Slack messages or maybe Telegram or on your workspace, you have to be very quick with answering your messages. You can't be um, you can't be late with answering your messages, especially if it's for work. Right? So we have 7 C's of communication. The first one is to be clear and to be clear about the goal and purpose of your message. You have to keep it concise, keep it to the point, and keep your message short and simple. It has to be clear, and you have to provide details, but not too much details, which is a concrete message. We have to make sure that your message is accurate and grammatically correct, um, coherent. You have to make sure your message flows and it's laid out logically. And we have to ensure the recipient has everything they need to understand. And courteous means polite. Your message should be polite, that be friendly and professional and also open. These are the 7 C's of communication. So we have a framework for effective communication. When there's facts, feelings, expectations, actions, and collaborations. For facts, we have to state what happened objectively. Um, we might say, I've noticed that, or I've observed that. Basically, it's to describe the situation as it occurred. For feelings, we have this is a subjective but still valid, which is it might be different from one person to another. Um Maybe if you're sharing how this affected you personally, you can say this made me feel, or this left me feeling like this and that. The third one is expectations. What are your unmet needs? I need this. I'd appreciate it if you did this or did that. Uh, Basically, what do you feel is still missing? The fourth one is actions. Action. What concrete actions will help, or what steps can we take to address something? I would like it if it's this or that, or I'd prefer this or that. Collaboration focuses on solution and to be constructive, basically to empathize with others' needs. For example, we should work together to find a positive outcome and to understand each other's perspective. It's basically you can ask people, how do you feel about this, or what do you suggest? What are your thoughts on this, or any ideas you'd like to share, or something like that. And these are some of the templates that you can use for an effective, for a framework for effective communication. Okay, we have strategies for you to improve your communication. The first thing is learning how to manage your stress. You have to recognize when you are becoming stressed when you're communicating, especially on verbal communications. You have to acknowledge that and try to improve on that. You have to stay calm under pressure. If you can, just take a moment, calm down, uh, and then take deep breaths and relax your muscles. Trust me, when you have a calm mind, and then your words will be much more calmer and clearer. We have to be willing to compromise and willing to agree or to disagree if necessary. Taking time away from a situation so everyone can calm down. So you have to take a time to understand each other and compromise and let everyone calm down. You know? Sometimes you have to stop talking and listen. Never talk over or interrupt people. Try to understand other people's point of view. You have to be patient, and most importantly, you have to be impartial. Yeah. So finally, let me take you to another person, famous person's quote. This person is called Rich Simmons. Rich Simmons is a professional speaker. He's a leadership trainer, facilitator. He's also a consultant and author. He's based in South Africa. He's recognized for his work in social communication. He focuses on simplifying communication to build stronger and personal or professional relationships. He's been voted by Forbes as a top 10 social influencer in Africa and top 100 influencer globally. He helps individuals, teams, and companies overcome ineffective communication styles through hands-on workshops and programs. He has a famous program called his 30-hour or 2-day communication bootcamp. So his statement is communication is only effective when we communicate in a way that's meaningful to the recipient, not ourselves, which means for communication to work, you need to focus on how the other person understands and receives your message, not just what makes sense to you. It's about tailoring your words, your tone, and approach to fit the recipient's perspectives. For example, explaining a complex idea to a child using big words might make sense to you, but it won't click for them unless you use simple or relatable terms. Effective communication happens when the recipient gets the message clearly. So you have to think about what's meaningful to the recipient. All right. So before going to the challenge document, if anyone have any questions, let me leave the floor. And all right. Um, okay, we have some messages here. Sorry for being late. I prefer to send an important email with a couple of minor errors for a non-person. I think you will try to understand me. Exactly. Yeah, you're right. You know, that's the correct way of thinking. Be engaging and persuasive speaking. Good. Good. What should we do to improve our communication skills when we don't have the courage to talk and communicating is tiresome? How can we make it better? Um, for example, you have to be able to catch opportunities to speak. Even if it doesn't matter, just find the opportunity to speak, especially in English, because Amharic is very easy to us. Even though uh, Amharic is very easy, some people don't have the communication skills in Amharic as well. So maybe you could start with Amharic and then move on to English communication skills, right? Especially in a working place, you have to be very formal. I find it very hard. It's totally different speaking to your friends in English and speaking to someone in a very formal manner, right? So basically, you have to find these more and more opportunities to express yourself in English or in Amharic. You have to learn to speak to others, learn, try to find an opportunity to speak on stage, or eventually you'll be forced to speak in a larger or scaled environment, right? So you have to practice every time. What I would recommend is try to find at least one session or one time per week where you can explain some idea to someone in English. It might be just one person or several people, but I think that really helps a lot, especially with the language barrier. And if you want to have a global job, then I think this will help you a lot better, right? There's no there's nothing better than practice. Right? We have to practice more and more. All right. So if anyone has questions, can you unmute and talk to us? You can unmute. You can also type on the chat box. And I, I guess let's just continue to the challenge document. And if anyone of you have any questions, just write to me on the chatbot, and I'll answer on the chatbot. All right. Next is we'll have a look at the challenge document with Emilian. Emilian, over to you.
All right, amazing. I hope you can hear me well.
Yep. Yep. You can.
Okay, I will be presenting the screen. Okay, so thank you so much, good day. And here is the challenge document. It's very short and concise, so it's not going to take long time. So this is Kifiya Master Program 567, Unit 2, and today, of course, as I've seen tutorials about effective communication and why this effective team coordination and communication in this time-sensitive project. We hope develop practical leadership skills, role alignment, and effective communication strategies for real-world professional scenarios. So the due date is going to be Tuesday, 10th June. And let's dive into the background and what do we have to do and what's required and the exercise. So here's the background. Yes, he suppose that you have been hired to coordinate a team of 10 members that are currently working on the Alpha project because their team lead is recently resigned. The team has been working on a project for 4 weeks, and despite being composed of highly skilled professionals, they are significantly behind schedule. They have only 2 weeks remaining until the project deadline. On your second day of your employment, Tuesday, and 12 days of deadline, you realize that the team has some issues that have been negatively impacting their performance. Number one, the team began the work without a well-defined understanding of the project's goal and its strategic plan. This led to inefficiencies and team members engaged in tasks without a clear direction or understanding of the overall project objective. Number two, team members have not been assigned roles that best fit their skill sets, leading to inefficiencies and frustrations. Number three, team members do not regularly communicate their progress, challenges, or needs, and this leaves some team members isolated when they encounter difficulties, like they don't talk, they keep quiet. Although, like number four, although team members are individually capable, they tend to work alone and do not share insights. This isolation not only shows down individuals task, but also prevents the team from leveraging collective knowledge to overcome complex challenges. Number five, number last. Furthermore, two of the team members happen to be chronic latecomers. They resume work late and are always late to schedule meetings too. And this attitude has some drawbacks on the overall team. So now here is the exercise. Here is the challenge. What you have to do. So the exercise you have like five. Number one, you will have to describe 4 steps you would take to ensure that all team members understand the project goal and their individuals' responsibilities. Number two, what 3 ways would you ensure that each team member is assigned a role that fits their skills? And number three is describe 3 strategies would you implement to improve communication among team members. And number four, propose 3 methods to foster a collaborative attitude among team members. And number last, using the framework for effective communication, outline how you would make your concern known to the two latecomers in the team. So that's the exercise, that's the challenge. And here submission, of course, you create a PowerPoint presentation with 6 slides that detail your answers to the tasks written above. That's it. That would be it. Yes, you present a presentation. And remember, most of the people here submit and they don't give access sometimes. So remember to give access. This is really also important for us to grade your work. So how is this important? How is it usefulness in life? This activity is designed to give you a practical understanding of how communication issues can impact the workplace. By working through these scenario, you will develop your critical thinking and problem-solving skills as you focus on improving communication strategies. And of course, this will also ultimately lead to better results in professional life. So that will be it. I think this week's challenge is not that much long. So in case you have any question or confused, or maybe you didn't understand how to do it, you can ask me. Any clarification, any question, or any addition? Is everything right? And you can access this document on TEDx, but we also send the link on Slack channel, week 2 channel, for you to access it quickly. But of course, with the slide as well, if you need the slide, because the slide is not accessible on TEDx, we will also share it right away. So if there's any question, please, you can go ahead and ask as we wrap up. The document is not available on TEDx platform. Ihenu, I'm sorry if I mentioned your name incorrectly, but let us follow up on that. It will be able to, it will be accessible like shortly if it's not yet there. Amazing. So any other question? Is everything clear? I guess the silence says yes. Before we end, before maybe we wrap up, before we end our challenge, there's this argument I really loved here. Would you rather send an important email with a couple of minor typos, or send that email well crafted, well designed, but to a wrong person? And I was here like arguing with my mind. But someone said here they would rather send to, oh, I misread it. I thought like someone said they would rather send it to a wrong person, but well designed. Yeah. So thank you so much. Maybe we can keep this conversation, or we can keep this debate like on Slack in case you have time. So other than that, I think we good. We can wrap up. Is there anything else you would love to add on today? Or maybe is there any announcement? Maybe?
No, I think we're done for today. Thank you very much, Emilia. And we will both check with the team to see if the challenge document is up on 10x, and if it's not, we'll update you on the on Slack. And further than that, I will share the Google Drive document with all of you through your email later on.
Uh, Amazing. So thank you so much, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Have a good day. Bye, and all
Thank
the
you.
best for the challenge.